Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. I'm Matt Martin, but Dave King is out. Sitting in with me is Rob Snyder, and we want to remind you that there is a winter weather advisory, and try to stay away from those overpasses. They can be pretty slick. We have Jerry Reynolds on line one. How are you doing today, Jerry?
We're doing fine, fellas. How are y'all?
Doing pretty good. We've got a bunch of accidents in town today because a little bit of ice formed on the major freeways this morning, and well, ice in West Texas, as you know, doesn't really mix too well.
No, I know that all too well. It's a good day to have something four-wheel drive. And I always get tickled with people who think, okay, I've got my first four-wheel drive, and it finally snowed, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And what they don't realize is they can go, but they can't stop. That four-wheel drive does not help you stop. No. And that's a big lesson people learn.
Right. Not just that, but doesn't it also affect what's the word I'm looking for? I've completely well, not that. Gee, thanks, Steve. Traction, some traction control as well if you're four-wheel drive.
Yeah, you almost got to have traction control and a locking differential, which means that if there's any slippage in the rear drive portion, it detects any slippage, then it locks in the other wheel. Otherwise, you don't really truly have four-wheel drive. You can get around, but it's not a true four-wheel drive. That's why I recommend all-wheel drive to people often that have never experienced four-wheel drive, because it does everything for you. I mean, you don't have to, it takes all the guesswork out of it. Four-wheel drive, you've got to engage. All-wheel drive, the car does it itself. And that's what I'm driving today is all-wheel drive, although we haven't had any ice over on the Dallas side of the Metroplex, but we have certainly had the rain. My gosh, we've had 5 inches in the last 2 days. But I'm behind the wheel of the 2018 Cadillac Escalade, and it is all-wheel drive, and it is the extended version, so it's very large, lots of room, really nice rig. I mean, I put up on CarProUSA.com. Since I was driving that, I researched the top-selling large luxury SUVs so far this year, and the Cadillac Escalade is top of the list. And it has been since 2015, since they redid it and went to this current body style with the full flat third-row seat, etc. But it's a pricey thing, I'll tell you that. Comes in at $103,985 on the window sticker.
Ouch.
So you're going to pay for it if you want it. And that's when I get done with this one, it's going to be interesting to do a comparison head-to-head between this and the new Navigator that I had about a month ago. And while they're both fresh on my mind, I think it's a good time to do that.
We have Steve Evans also in studio. Jerry, Steve, go ahead.
Jerry, I got to ask, does that one have the automatic steering function on it that'll maintain the lane while you're going down the road?
Yeah, it does. Now, it doesn't have the system that I had. It's called Super Cruise. It doesn't have the system that I had on the CT6 a couple of weeks ago that truly did drive itself. This has got lane departure warning, and it'll correct itself. So if you get out of your lane, it'll put you back in your lane.
So it's not something you just take your hands off the wheel, light a cigar, grab a cold beverage, and just cruise down the road.
No, but I had that system, and it was pretty interesting. In fact, the car itself, the CT6, is a beautiful, wonderful car, but it kind of got lost because I was spending so much time checking that Super Cruise system, which is the best self-driving system I've ever seen. I mean, it's got a little camera mounted up on top of the steering wheel that makes sure that your eyes are looking at the road, even if you don't have your hands on the steering wheel.
Wow!
And if you look away for any length of time at all, and I did this, I looked away. I had the system set at 85. Looked away for 5 seconds, and the first thing that happened, Steve, was the steering wheel turned red, and then it started to beep at me, and then it started to talk to me and tell me, touch the wheel. And then the seat violently vibrated, and then it started to shut the car down. What it wanted to know was that I wasn't either asleep or had a medical emergency.
Huh. So it didn't shock you or reach something come out of the steering wheel and slap you or anything like that? That would be fun.
No, nothing like that. But that seat vibrating, That thing is unbelievable. It'll shake you up.
Jerry, my family's always driven the short GM products in the big SUV. How much extra do you get in that ESV model that you're test driving?
No, it's about 3 feet, and really the difference is the area, the cargo area behind the third row seat. If you're in the regular wheelbase, you don't have much cargo when you open the tailgate, and you've got the third row seat up. So if you're set for 7 passengers in a short wheelbase, there's nothing much back there. This one has got a ton of cargo area. This, you got to kind of think of this as a luxury Suburban because it's about the same size.
Very luxury at $103,000.
Yeah, for some people, over half the price of a house.
Oh yeah.
Does that that longer wheelbase? Do you get more stability out of it? Is it a smoother ride than the short one? I've actually never driven the long one.
I can't tell any difference. The only issue is parking it and trying to make a U-turn, taking corners takes a little bit more getting used to because of the extra length of the wheelbase and from the distance from the front wheel to the rear wheel. And that takes a little bit of getting used to. But once you do, it's fine. But this thing is huge. Just huge. I mean, I look at it. My wife drives the biggest Range Rover that you can get. And this thing's sitting next to it, and it just dwarfs it. I mean, it's just like night and day. I go, God, when did these things get so big? But it is. And some people, that's exactly what they want. And, of course, Texas leads the nation in sales of large SUVs. So no big surprise. People love them. I like it. I wouldn't want it on a daily basis, but it's nice for a week.
How in the interior, how are the placements of the touch screens and all the new digital screens with your displays and everything?
It's good. Cadillac's got what they call the CUE system, CUE, Cadillac User Experience. Very intuitive. It's one of the better systems out there. It's all touch screen, which I love, instead of dials and buttons and all that stuff. I get so tired of stuff where it takes you a week to learn it, and by the time I give the car up, I've just gotten the hang of it. And I'm pretty good with this stuff. I went through that with the Mercedes last week. It's tough. It's this system. It's touch and go. You pick what you want as far as radio. Let's say you're listening to a Sirius XM. It'll even let you punch in the numbers. So if you wanted to hear, Fox Business, you'd punch in 114 instead of having to scroll all the way through 200 channels. It's very cool. I think one of the coolest things about this thing is the center console. There's a built-in phone charger on top of the center console, and you can just lay your phone in there and it'll charge. And then if you open the console, there's an ice box in there that will hold up to 6 bottled water.
and an onboard humidor. Excited. Onboard humidor, please, Cadillac.
All right, Jerry Reynolds, host of the Car Pro Show, Saturday mornings at 11 right here on KFYO. Don't forget, you can get his reviews online at carprousa.com. Jerry, thanks for your time this week.
You bet. Good to talk to you guys. Stay warm.